This is Puppets by Arlee. I'm Arlee, and this is how you make a double airplane marionette control. Puppeteers love control. This is how to get more control in your life. Now this type of control is called a double airplane control because I guess if you use your imagination it kind of looks like an old-timey airplane. But the nice thing about this is it has a toggle to take off your leg bar, and then when you put your leg bar on you can either walk with your leg bar off or you can walk with your leg bar on. And it's designed in a way that it also has something to hang your puppet up when you're not using it. And this design will have head strings and arm strings. You can even rig a nose string or a specialty string. You can add a toggle for elbow and of course shoulders, and then tail string. And I am using some wood that is 5/8 inch across and 1/4 of an inch tall. And I've also made them out of paint sticks. I've also taken paint sticks, doubled them up, and glued them together and made marionette controls out of that. They come with a notch system that you can put your string in, wind it around to the side, center, side, center, side. And so that makes it so that you can adjust your strings. If you like my videos, please like and subscribe. All right, the first step, we need 2 pieces of wood that are 10 inches long and 2 pieces of wood that are 9 inches long. So the 10-inch long piece will be the middle piece that you hold on to. The 9-inch long pieces will be the part that the head strings are strung to, and the leg bar will be 9 inches across. So I got my inch piece here, and another 10-inch. And since I can't fit this a full 10 inches into my bandsaw because of the arm, I'm going to give it a 2-inch diagonal, then 9 inches. And 9 inches. And go ahead and cut that out on the bandsaw. Okay, once you got your 4 pieces cut out, next thing to do is to cut out the notch system. Now we'll cut out notches on both sides of both of the 9-inch pieces, and we'll cut out notches on one side of one of the 10-inch pieces, because the notches on the 9-inch pieces will be doing the legs and the head, and then the notch on the 1 10-inch piece is going to be the tail string. So first, draw a center line on your pieces for guiding. And also on your 9-inch pieces, mark the halfway mark, which should be 4.5. on your 10-inch piece, also go ahead and mark your centers. Then on one of the 10-inch pieces, you're going to mark 1.5 inches. And on your 9-inch pieces, also mark 1.5 inches. And then you're going to cut tiny triangles on the bandsaw. You're going to cut a full notch on 1/2 inch up all of your pieces. And then you're going to cut 1/4 inch on the sides. Be sure not to cut all the way through so that we create our 3-way notch system. And I'm just kind of eyeballing it here. And go cut these out on the bandsaw. All right, I've got all my notches cut out on my 2 9-inch piece and my 1 10-inch piece. Next, we drill the holes for the hanger, which will go through 2 10-inch pieces, and we'll also, on the bottom 10-inch piece, we'll drill the hole for the shoulder strings and for the elbow strings if you want them. And we'll talk about installing the dog clip on the top. So let's set this up. Let's start with the bottom part of the double airplane control. You want to make kind of a cross, which is handy because you can ward off vampires. So know that your dog clip, which you can just buy these on the internet, it's just a regular metal clip. And if you can, try to get a clip that is easily pinched over your wood piece. So on the top one, that will be where our leg bar is. So, but we're on the bottom layer right now with our vampire crucifix here. Find a place where it looks good and mark it off. And then we will wood glue this overnight. Now, for the holes that the hanger goes through, just pick 2 places on the lower part, but not all the way onto where we're going to thread our back string. And then kind of in the middle, but a little bit above is where I like to put the shoulder string. So at 5 inches. Oh, that's where I put my hanger. Well, in that case, I'll move my hanger up, and my shoulder string is at the 5-inch mark. And then on the other side, I'll put my possible elbow string. And you can add any type of specialty strings that you want. So I'm going to drill my elbow string and shoulder string just through the bottom layer, and then put the 2 top layers together and drill through both for the hanger string, for the hanger hole, rather. Okay, now the top 10-inch part, that's where our dog clip is going to be. So take your dog clip and put it so that it's flush against the front, and mark where the hole would be. Now, you have to pick out a bolt. Best to use a machine bolt because those aren't sharp at the bottom. That'll fit through your whole piece of wood, no matter how thick your wood is. You're going to go through the dog clip, and if your screw, the head of your screw is not big enough to hold the dog clip on, then take a washer. And we're going to drill a hole for that and bolt it onto the other side with a nut. Now, as you're designing your control, your shoulder string can go kind of in the middle of your 10-inch piece, because when your hand is placed on the control, then you can pull on the shoulder strings, and as you can see, that will make the head go down. And then if you choose, you can have a toggle of elbow strings in front that you can grab with your forefinger. Now you want to pick out a drill bit that's about the size of the cord or the string that you're going to use for the hanger. I like to use old shoestring. You can also use tie line. You can also use leather. I've seen puppeteers use wire. But whatever you're using, make sure that the hole is the same size as the cord, and then when you make a knot with it, it won't come through. And then also be sure that the drill bit you're using is the correct size for your nut that you're going to attach your dog clip to. Okay, using the vise, we're going to drill the holes. First, put the bottom part of the control on top of the top part of the control. Be sure that your dog clip hole is at the front and your butt string notch is at the back. Put those flush together and then put both of them into the vise. And we're going to drill out the hanger holes. Next, take the top part of the controller and drill out the dog clip hole. Next, change your drill bit into something smaller that string can fit through. And we're going to drill a hole for the elbow string and the shoulder string. And this is the bottom part of the control. Now we're going to work on gluing the features on the bottom part of the control. We'll put in the eyelets for the hand strings, and then we'll put in an eyelet for a possible nose string or specialty string. And you can just use one eyelet here at the bottom, but I prefer to use two because that makes a little space so that you can reach your finger in when you want to puppeteer the arms or when you want to puppeteer the hand strings. So get out your tiniest drill bit and your eyelets and wood glue. And on the bottom piece, you'll do one in the center on the edge. And then two on the underside, about 1/4 of an inch away from the edge. So that's 2 eyelets on the bottom pointing towards the puppet and 1 eyelet towards the front for a nose or a specialty string. Then get some eyelets, put some wood glue on them, and twist them in. And be sure that the eyelets are facing straight forward so a string can go perpendicular through them. And there I have my 3 eyelets in. Then we're going to glue the 9-inch headpiece to the top of the 10-inch bottom piece. So get a C-clamp for drying. And the headpiece goes on top. And use your marks to be as perpendicular as you can. And then go ahead and let that dry overnight. Then, once you're all dry, sand it down. Now let's attach our dog clip. So get your machine nut. Be sure that the side we're putting in lines up with the holes underneath, which it does. Get your washer and your nut. Take your shoelace or your tie line, and the first thing we're going to do is tie a nice good knot at the very end of one. And we're going to put in our tie line, and we're going to put a knot in between each point on either side of each layer of wood. So, the nice thing about shoelaces is they have the plastic bits to help you thread through. So, take your cross, your bottom part, and go through to the first knot. Next, pull that as tight as you can and make another knot as tight as you can on top of it. Sometimes I use pliers to try to get it as tight as possible. Okay. Now, for in between these two layers of wood, you want to have enough space so that you can fit your finger in for if you want to toggle the leg bar. So, add about an inch or less than an inch. So, you're going to tie your next knot a little bit above that previous knot. And give it about an inch of space. Then go through the top part of your control. Be sure your control is oriented so that the dog clip would be accessible from the top. And looks like I did a good job there because I can fit my index finger from the way I've spaced my knots in between. Then tie a knot on the top. Make it as tight as possible. All right. And we have 4 knots so far. Now, how long do you make the hanging part? Be sure it's not so long that it will accidentally loop over the headpiece, but be sure it's long enough that it will be able to hook under something. So, measure out, be sure you're not large enough that you could hook over the head. And tie another knot. Now, we're going to go down back through, go through the top of the control. And then tie another knot underneath. Right. Now we tie a knot that allows a little less than 1 inch of space. Try to get it about the same amount as your front space. And then thread through the last hole. And do a knot. Underneath. And clip off the edge. And you could string a puppet on this right now. Now, to make the toggle for the running elbow string, you're going to get a tiny piece of dowel. Get a piece of dowel that's about the size of a pencil and about 3 inches long, and then glue in eyelets to either side. You can also just drill holes. Get a scrap of marionette string and your control. And you're going to string it to this elbow string hole, which is the one closest to your head bar. And my hole that I drilled is just a wee bit too small, so we'll thread it through using a piece of tough thread, kind of like a needle threader. So I'm going to take a needle, pull my piece of tough thread through one side, and I need a loop on the bottom to pull everything through. So I'm going to pull one side through, and go back up through. Okay, so for this threading situation, I have a loop of thread on the bottom and my ends on the top. And then I pull one side through and pull it up through. Now, you're going to loop it over one side of the head bar and loop it over the other side of the head bar, being careful not to pull everything through the bottom. So we're looped around this head bar joint, the glued part. And now we're looking at the underside of the control, and just take one of your pieces of string, thread your elbow toggle on, and then make sure it has enough room to rotate and tie several knots. And check me, be sure. And clip it. And put some glue on this knot. Some glue right here. And this control is ready. And there you have it. A double airplane control ready to get a puppet strung on it. At this point, you have the option to paint it black. I've heard of people using shoe polish or just plain paint. Or you can leave it unpainted. Some people have complained that I'm very controlling. I hope you can get the control of this situation.